But the other thing that I bought was actually a quilt kit. And I found it on Nancy's Notions. It was pretty reasonable, and I loved the pattern. It's called Christmas Joy, and of course it's red and white, and I love that. And it's stars. So, let me stop this one, and then I'm going to go tell you about the quilt. Fabric came pre-cut with the quilt pattern book. This will be a throw size. So there are a couple different pieces of white fabric and 2 or 3, excuse me, just dropped some white, 2 or 3 pieces of red cuts. So I actually had to go and measure the pieces according to the cuts to figure out what was to be used for what. This small piece here I figured out will be for the cornerstones, which are in between all the squares. And then this piece was for the binding. And then the third piece of red was cut into squares. I needed 12. I think they're 8.5 by 8.5 squares, as well. It's the same amount for the white, and these are going to be made into half square triangles. I had other 2.5 strips which needed to be cut into 2.5 by 3.5 inch rectangles, and these will be part of the star. Now I also had other strips. This one I haven't sewn yet. It only takes one. This is a 2.5 inch strip, and I think these are 3.5. I believe it's 22. Yep, 3.5 inch strips. And these get sewn into the long strip, and this one will be white, and then the red in the middle, and the white. And they get cut up like this. I've forgotten how many I needed. I think it's 24 of these. It's 12 blocks. So that might be two per block. So these are cut. For anyone that's done stars, you realize there's a lot of cutting and prepping. Once everything is ready to go, putting the stars together is pretty quick and easy. So I'm going to be working on doing this strip, and then I might start work on the blocks and doing the half square triangles. I also have, 4 white strips here. I believe there's 4. And these will be cut, I believe, the same as, no, they're not. Those are 3.5, not 2.5. So anyway, I'm not quite sure how these are going to be cut. But that's where I'm at. I'm getting my pieces ready, and luckily I have this, Honey bought this card table, so that's been really handy. I'm thinking of getting another 4-foot table, just like this one, that I can put. Right now, I don't really need it. I'm making out okay with what I have. I did bring down my nice light because I wasn't really using it at home, since I have nice track lighting now in my sewing room. And that's been very helpful to have that over the table. Could actually move the table up a little further. But I'm pretty happy out here having a sewing space. I do have 2 windows in my great she shed, and right now I have them open, and it's pretty comfortable in here. But if not, I've got an air conditioner over there, and that does a pretty good job of keeping this place cool. So, there we go. I'm going to work on getting these strips sewn and then cut, and then we'll see what my next step is. Might be cutting those, I'm not sure. I'll be back. So I've cut 12 strips out of that last one, 2.5 wide. And now we're going to sew one of these red ones on either side of the white one to make a block. And I need 12 blocks, so I will do that. First, first 2 strips are sewn together, look like that. And then I'm going to sew one more run, and that'll make the first block. Stars have got to be pretty darn big. They're big, which is okay. I'm okay with that. So we'll get this block done. I have my 12 center blocks done, and I am pretty pleased with myself because I am far from a perfect quilter. But I'm pretty pleased that most of my squares and my lines all line up. So that one has a tiny bit of overlap. But for me, you know, I think 99% of these look pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with them. So the next thing I need to do is work on the half square triangles, because those are going to make the side pieces. I'll be doing a block here, one there, and that's when I use these little pieces. These strips here are going to be cut into 3.5-inch squares, and those are going to go into the top and the bottom pieces to make the star. So I'm probably about halfway there, or at least a third. Got to do all these half square triangles. I'm going to be making lines on the white side and then sewing a 1/4 inch on either side of the diagonal lines, and then cutting that way to make my half square triangles. So I'll need luck with that, but they all come out okay. Okay, so what I'm doing is like 2 blocks at a time, because my blocks are all right sides out, wrong side on the inside, so I can lay down. And actually I started with the white blocks, and I didn't pair them up. I just took the white block, drew the lines on it, started sewing down the line and realized no. I used my 1/4 inch foot and sewed down a 1/4 inch, and you can pull it out and then just turn it around without cutting the thread at the corner, doing another 1/4 inch that way, cutting both threads, and then just start at the other corner, putting the 1/4 inch marker on the line and sewing down, pulling it out a little bit and turning the thread, and then sewing back up. And then you're cutting on all the lines. So I started doing the lines. I did use my big square. I'm glad I got the squares, because I could line things up better with the square. So I did that. I did the cuts on all the lines, came up with my blocks, and I pressed them. And then you have to square them up to a 3.5-inch square. I was a little nervous about that, because these are definitely not square. But I'm so glad I bought these. With my little square, let's see if I can hold it well enough and see. I line up that diagonal line on the ruler on my diagonal. Let's see, how did I do it? Well, I've got 3.5. No, I've got That's 3.5 right there. I've got to see. I should maybe do all of these at the same time once I figure out the system, because I was going to do them like block by block. But I might forget how I did it, like I did just now. So hold on, I'll be back.